Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the This Is Howley Do It podcast. I'm your host, James Howley, along with my guests for tonight, Mr. Queron Truesdale.
How you guys doing?
Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you, man. Thank you for inviting me in and having me on your show. I can't wait to get started with you.
Absolutely. So, I have my Smile More shirt today on. This is by Roman Atwood. He's a YouTuber, and he's a very positive person. And I think it's only fitting for Q, because you are one of the most positive people that I have ever met. Like, we haven't known each other that long, but as soon as I met you, I was like, this guy is so happy, he's super smart. I'm just like, how, like, I even asked one of our friends, Matt, I was just like, is he always this fun? He's like, yeah, he is. I was just like, how? He's like, I don't know. It's fun. Like, yeah, is it, like, I tried to be positive, but, like, you're on, like, another level of positivity.
Definitely.
Is it hard to stay this positive all the time?
I feel as though, once you get to a level where, you know yourself more, you can be in that level for a long time. And I don't think it's necessarily a way for you to get out, because you know that what happened to you before and the damage and things that was done. So in that same time, you look at yourself and say, all right, this is who I am, this is what the problem is, so I'm going to either sit back and let this happen, or I'm going to be positive today. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I think people, they'll sit and they'll stay in that, like, example, anger. They're like, my tire got flat, I'm mad all day.
Hey, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem.
So it's like that. It's those type of things. But for me, I'm the type of guy, I'm like, my tire's flat. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You know, it's like, I got a parking ticket in Philly, and I was like,
that's probably not your fault. They suck.
Nah, it was definitely my fault.
Oh, okay.
I parked next to the fire extinguisher, trying to get one quick in.
As long as you didn't park in a handicap spot. If you said that, I would have been like, well, that's the end of this podcast. That would have been the end of this podcast.
Right.
But
I knew with that. I was like, man, I came out. I was at an event, and I said to myself, yeah, this is a $70 ticket.
Ooh.
But I could have walked out of my car, would have been towed. So that's the way I kind of look at things. It's like, you kind of weigh your positives with negatives. Like, I think of it like, okay, this could have been worse, or this could have been worse. So that's the way to stay positive, man.
Yeah, and I mean, you have a hell of a story. I did my research on you, which was about 10 minutes before you got here. I looked at your Instagram page, because you were super late, but not holding that against you. Just wanted to tell the people about nothing that had nothing to do with this. But I looked at your Instagram, and I made sure that I wrote this down, because I didn't want to get any of this wrong.
Yeah.
And your bio says, alcoholic father,
Yes.
given up at 14,
Yes.
anger not feeling loved,
Yes.
transformational speaker, mentor, business owner, helping at-risk youth establish success.
Yes.
A lot. Like, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7 things.
Yeah.
My Twitter bio has 3. I'm just like, damn. Like, I thought I was inspirational. So, congrats. Yeah, I just wanted to start about, talk about some of these things, because I knew that you were a very, very special person when I met you. And once I read all of this, I was like, damn, there's a lot to talk about.
Definitely.
So I guess we should start on the list. Number 1 was alcoholic father.
Yeah, so since I was young, I would say, I have a really funny story with him. I was about 4 years old, and I have a pretty good photographic memory, so I can go back to those times and like, damn, he did that to me. But when I started to realize it, it was one day I was in the house, was playing, had Super Nintendo back then, so the duck game, I was like on a duck game all day, just hitting all these ducks, and then I see my dad, he's like, there's like a drink on the table, so I'm like, let me get something to drink, thirsty.
Right.
And I was like, hey dad, I can get some ginger ale. He's like, yeah, go ahead, try it. And I'm like, okay. So I get it, and I'm like, this is definitely not ginger ale, this is beer. From that point, I hated the taste of beer.
So you don't drink?
I do occasionally, but I'm I wouldn't call myself, I'm one of those. We go out to somewhere and I'm like, yeah,
Social drinker.
social drinker.
Gotcha.
I'll take a drink, maybe a beer,
Right.
maybe a shot,
Yeah.
maybe depends on how I feel. But even in that sense, with seeing him, I started seeing so much of the way he would act,
Right.
and that's
When they're drunk.
yeah,
Yeah.
when he would drink, I was just like, man, like what is going on with this dude? Like I see my happy-go-lucky dad, and then he goes from happy to slurred and cursing and just being this abusive type of guy with his words. So
Yeah.
that's what started to draw me back on like this is definitely not who I want to be.
I can relate to that a lot because she'll never see this, but my mom was an alcoholic. So she's like, this doesn't excuse it, but like she's from another country. She came over to America. Like basically the best job she's ever had was when she was a bartender. So, like the people that she would meet, like her boyfriends and her now husband, like she met in a bar.
Right.
And, they like to drink, like they're a lot different than they were, but, you see that other side of people when they drink, and it's funny, you called it ginger ale, my mom called it apple juice. She'd be like, oh, we don't have some apple juice, and my mom's Asian, so she'd be like, Jen, we don't have some apple juice. And I'd be like, Mom, I want some apple juice, so I have some, she's like, no, Jabby, should I have this apple juice? And I was younger, and I didn't get it, I'd be like, why? Like, you give me apple juice all the time, why can't I? She's like, no, Jabby, should I have apple juice? And then as I would get older, I would realize what she was talking about, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
And like it's interesting that that you use that a lot about how you are as a person now, because I remember as a child looking at my mom and being like, I never want to be like my mom.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to drink like that. I don't want to become that person.
Right.
And then I tried alcohol, and like I'm not an alcoholic, but I could see why someone would enjoy it.
Exactly.
Because like once you get that buzz, it's like I see why people are like that.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't like to drink, so I don't like to have to pee all the time.
Right.
It's a process for me. But
definitely.
yeah. So number 2 is this is probably I feel like the heaviest one on there. Giving up at 14.
Yeah. Rough time in my life. So, going back to my father being alcoholic. Not only I won't say was because he still is. He's an alcoholic, but he also utilized drugs. So he's very abusive with crack cocaine, and those things kind of pushed him to a position that he shouldn't have been in. But what went bad was he was a truck driver, so he was always on the road, and at that point we went to a point where he left. So he was kind of null and void from our family, and then my mom was just there by herself.
Right.
So coming up in that age, it was a lot of poverty. Was growing up in that home, and we didn't really have much.
Where'd you grow up?
I was at that point. I'm originally from Jersey,
Okay.
but we moved to North Carolina when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So that was the cheaper lifestyles. It's better. I learned a lot of manners out there.
Yeah.
Learned how to say yes sir, no sir.
That's nice.
That was not for me.
I don't want to say sir and ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
They like embed that in you. Like when you're in that area.
Right.
I was in elementary school, and I'm like, I'm not saying yes sir. And those teachers are like, no, you have to say.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm from Jersey. You don't say yes sir, no sir.
We don't say sir and ma'am in Jersey.
No, we don't say any of that stuff. We don't even pump our gas. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm planning on going to DC in a few months.
Right.
And I'm just like, crap, I'm gonna have to pump my own gas.
Yeah, that's the
like I'm gonna have to get out of my car.
Right.
It's gonna be so annoying. And alright, to me, I have a little bit more of an excuse because it's more of a process.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there's a lot of able-bodied people that are thinking the same thing that are from Jersey.
Exactly.
It's like, crap, I have to pump my gas. That sucks. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, continue with your story.
Yeah. So going back to that, man. She didn't have much, so she at a certain point had to make a decision to either keep me there or let me go. So to me, it hurt because I'm a mama's boy. I love being around my mom.
Right.
And at that point, I got given away to my aunt. So at that age, I was 14, and I knew a lot. I was seeing a lot. I could understand a lot. And
Right.
I was taking that train ride, and it was just like the longest train ride to Jersey from North Carolina. I just had 7 hours of thinking. Man, both of my parents and just like
Yeah.
they can't take care of me.
Yeah.
So it really pushed me into a very dark realm. I became I went from being this introverted kid, and I started going down the drain when I started seeing my dad utilizing drugs and drinking. So I went from being bullied to becoming a bully. And
because you were like defensive.
Yeah, it's just like everything from that point. Like I didn't care who I seen, man. I just was like, I'm punching this dude in the face. That's my father. I'm punching this person. I'm doing this. I'm getting into arguments. And then when I came back to Jersey at 14, it was just like, man, it's like a roller coaster of just getting into fights and getting in trouble and doing the wrong thing. So a lot of that pain from the separation from them and just leaving North Carolina was like, just kind of tore me up in a sense.
Yeah. So like that I can relate to that. It's like I feel like I'm saying I can relate to that like as a way to like be a good like host, but I really can relate to these stories.
Yeah, definitely.
Because my mom told me something when I was really young, which is something she should have never told me. But now I'm gonna tell everybody.
Yeah.
So like when I was born, it was kind of like a mistake. Like doctors fucked up, and then we argued in court that that's why I'm handicapped.
Right.
So my mom told me when I don't remember how old I was, but it was. I want to say recently, but it probably could have been like 10 years ago. Like to me, that's recent, so I should remember her actually telling me this. But she told me that my grandparents from my father's side, I've never met my grandparents from my mother's side, but she told me that they told her to consider giving me up, like having me live in, like a home, a hospital, like whatever you do with handicapped kids that are, the young children that are handicapped, because they didn't think that she was going to be able to handle it. And like now as an adult, like I can understand their thinking, because they're thinking, well, she wasn't young, but like a mother. My mom had me when she was 40, so she wasn't young, but like, a woman coming from another country who already had a son. Like she had a son. I have a half brother. She had a son with a different husband when she was in Thailand. So they were probably thinking like, somebody who already has a son coming to this country, that's new to this country, having a son that's now disabled, she may not be able to handle this, and I don't want my son to have to deal with it. That's how I think they thought of it.
Right.
And like, as a rational thinking adult, like it makes sense, but like as that child, it's just like, why would you tell me this? Like now I'm never gonna be able to live with my grandparents the same way.
Right.
And like, now like, it doesn't, I don't obviously try to dwell on it because I still love my grandma. My grandfather died, but yeah, I mean, it's just something that is crazy, because I was just like, why did you think that was a good idea to tell me this? Yeah. And then, my brother, my half brother, when they moved over, I think my mom moved over when he was like a teenager, or he was either already 18 or he was turning 18. And she would tell me how his father, when he turned 18, like kicked him out of the house and was like, "You're on your own now." Right. And I never really had a relationship with my brother, so I don't really know. Like he didn't always live with me and my mom, so I don't really know what really happened. But it's relatable to me because it's like I don't understand how my grandparents would how anybody would say that, like as like I said, like as a rational speaking, thinking adult, like I understand to a point, but I don't really. I think that's a cop out. Definitely. And then if I was in my brother's situation at that age, I would be like, my parents would throw me out at 18, on your own. But yeah, so when I read that, I thought of that. Right. And then as you tell your story, I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. That 7 hours of you just thinking must have been horrible.
It was the worst, man. And they were playing, I remember they were playing, what's that? It's some zoo cartoon movie. I forget what it was called. But I'm just like, and I'm watching this. I'm 14 years old, and they got this 6-year-old movie on. I'm like, I don't want to look at this right now. This is the last thing on my mind.
6-year-olds and 14-year-olds, they watch the same thing.
So I'm just shit. I didn't get it. I didn't understand, but it's good that you say that, man, because I tell a lot of people, that my story is your story. Right. And that's the good thing about it, because I like to tell people, where I came from and things like that, because of the fact that a lot of people go through the same things and the same struggles, and it's just all how we deal with it.
Exactly.
So, that's definitely it's good to know that, man, that I have other people that have those type of situations and
Right.
go through those things.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like that's probably hand in hand to the next thing, which was anger not feeling love.
Yeah, yeah. So that goes back to, man, I get back, out here in Jersey, and I start to see some of my friends and things. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm back in Jersey. I can start seeing some of my family members, my friends, and
Yeah.
they see me and they're like, yo, what happened to you, man?
Right.
Like, you're just like this hot-headed kid. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what happened, man, I was just getting into fights.
And knowing you, that's like the last thing that I would.
Exactly. A lot of
You're
people
the
look at
nicest
me now to
person,
say
you're
that.
super calm. I'm just like,
And-
that must be a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a very, very long time ago. One thing about me, I'm very down to earth, cool.
Yeah.
You would see I don't really come off as like, but I was tick tick boom, man. Just
Right.
everything that someone did to me, it was just it was a repercussion always.
Right.
And in middle school, I still experienced that a lot. When I got to high school, I actually went to a Christian high school,
Okay.
which started to develop me back into who I really was. So
Right.
I was getting around a lot of friends and playing sports. I played basketball. I actually
Right.
made the varsity team. So that was like the first thing to me that started to intrigue me again. Like,
Yeah.
yo, man, you're successful.
Right.
Just, you went out, you played, you practiced, you got on
Mhm.
varsity, and when we had struggles in that area because I was living with my aunt, so she was taking care of me. And what ended up happening was we had to leave that school, and that kind of put me right back down to the same thing. I went back to public school, so going back to public school just you start to formulate those high school opinions.
Right.
And I think it was kind of hard because I started in a private school,
Mm.
and then going back to public, you going into high school, I started to really see what high school was.
Yeah.
Because in private school, it's not at all like everybody's kind of family. You
Yeah.
don't really have issues. It's, no one's picking on you for clothing or anything like
Right.
that. Because in that sense, it's like you're all wearing
Yeah, the same
you're
thing.
wearing uniforms.
Yeah.
And
Public school's more like cliquey.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
It was, I was going into there, and now I'm back to being, Q again. I'm
Mhm.
calm, reserved, and then I get into high school, public school, and I'm just like, now I gotta get into a clique.
Yeah.
Because I need people to like me. I need
Right.
people
that.
to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
you, don't
like,
need, you don't need people like
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, mm-mm.
And if I look back at it now, man, I'm like, I wish I did not do that.
Right, exactly.
I started getting into cliques, started being with the wrong crowd, I started
Yeah.
hanging with the wrong guys, and
Mm.
fights after fights, stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Always getting in trouble in high school. But somewhere down the line, I still realized who I was.
Yeah, that's good.
I still knew that, in the sense that when I would play sports, it would always take me back to, look, man, this is who you are. You aren't this guy.
Right.
You can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You have the talent. You have the will. Just keep going. And
Yeah.
a lot of my coaches, they would keep instilling that into me. And I think the reason why it was really good, because it was those father figures I was missing.
Yeah.
And I would see that. And
Yeah.
it would help me get to that point.
Yeah, you were mentioning about how, I mentioned cliquey, but like about high school. Like the thing about doing comedy, like going into, going to open mics, going to different venues, it reminds me in a way of high school because,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of different people who do comedy. Like,
Yeah.
and because everybody has their own style. Like, it's
Exactly.
not like one set of people. Like, you should have, like, nerds that do, like, geek humor. And then you should have, like, not jocks, but like like frat guys, talking about getting drunk and shit, and then then you have like the different rate, like you have black people doing black jokes, you have there's not that many Asian people, you have some Asian people and stuff like that. But like the one thing is that there's cliques there too. There's groups, there's people that just talk to themselves,
Right.
and then like I know like usually if I did one open mic. I get there early so I can go up early so I can leave early.
Right.
And, usually there's that time before a show where there's people just sitting around at a table talking to each other.
Right.
And that reminds me of, like, lunch. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what table you at? Who you talking to? Like,
Right.
what are you guys talking about?
Right.
And, like, I would join a table and I would always be the one just sitting there listening, like the outsider.
Right.
And that reminded me of high school because, like, I had some friends, but it's not like I had the biggest table at lunch.
Exactly.
I had all the friends or something like that. But just just me doing comedy, like I don't go out every night. I don't go to all the clubs,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. They're not all accessible, so like that's one of the reasons.
Exactly.
So and I do things for different reasons. Like I'm not doing this YouTube channel. I'm not doing comedy to be famous. I'm doing it because I want to do what I want to do, and the things that I think that I'm doing are interesting to me.
Right.
So and learning that. You don't know that as a child, like you were saying. Like most everybody says, if I knew what I knew now when I was a kid, it'd be so much different.
Sure.
But yeah, that's how you grow up. That's how you learn stuff.
Exactly.
But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about when you were telling that story was, you were saying you were mentioning how you met up with your friends after you haven't seen them in a while, and they saw you as like a different person.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that has affected like how you have like friendships or relationships now? Like, do you think the way you were then changed how your relationships were then compared to now?
I definitely do. They seen me in a way, that was negative.
Yeah.
And coming from, growing up with these people
Right.
In elementary school, and they're pretty much like family. They look at me and say, "Oh man," like they were kind of the first point of contact to say, "Change your life around."
Right.
And now they see me and they're like, what the heck happened to this dude?
Yeah.
Now he's like super positive. Now he's like this philanthropist, mentor, and it's really good to have those people that you consider to be family because they're supportive. They look back and they're kind of the testimony to me. They could tell you first, like, he was always in fights. He was down the street fighting my cousin. He was here fighting this person. He fought me because of a Pokemon game. Like I remember one of my friends.
He's just violent all the time.
Yeah, I was. Man, I was just. Man, I was. I don't even know what was going on in my head.
Never knew how to use his words.
One of my friends, I remember we were, and we were talking about this at a cookout. I was like, "Yo, man, you remember when we were on the bus, and it was." Pokemon Emerald came out, and that's when the Game Boy Colors with that you could charge just came out.
I had like the red, the yellow, and the blue. I think.
Man, I love those. Man. Those was like the best thing. So
this is the only thing that we're able to talk about from old school video games. When you were talking about the Nintendo earlier, I think it was. I was just like, I know that's a thing.
So we had that, and I remember that was like the hottest thing since sliced bread. Like everybody had Pokemon.
70?
Everybody that
this is sliced bread. Like what?
For real. It's
Who
like
says that?
Everybody that had Pokemon, they're just
Yeah.
That's the best thing that you had to get. So I remember my friend, he came out and he had it, and I'm just like, I need this. I was that kid that I was stealing stuff from people. So I'm like, I'm gonna beat this dude up. I'm gonna take his Pokemon game. I'm gonna take everything.
Right.
And I just remember like beating like literally the dog shit out of this dude. And I'm like kicking him on the fence.
I gotta catch them all.
I'm beating him down the fence, and then his sister like sees me later on, and she's like, "Yo, dude, like, give him back the game.
Yeah.
Give him everything." And I didn't want to give it up. Then I did, and I realized like, why did I just like beat one of my own friends up for that? So it's a funny story we talk about now, but it's good because they see the progression and they see like, man, you were really out there with your your anger. You just gotta settle down. Once you settle down, we're like, he was a go-to man. But I think a lot of it was because of with the formulated opinions, like you said in high school.
Yeah.
You get bullied a lot because people look at you a certain way if you're creative or you're quiet or and a lot of times me and my friends would get bullied, and I became the bully because I was kind of fighting for us to not get bullied. And
self-defense kind of in a way.
It was one of those things, man. It's like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to be the person now. So not that it's a good thing because there's so much going on now with people getting bullied and the things that happen. So I'm the first person to say, don't go to that area where it's no return, because sometimes when you become the bully, like, you become the bully. You don't want to get out that area.
Yeah, you don't want to be the bad guy all the time.
Exactly.
I remember, so like for me, there was like a turning point in my, I guess life. Like I remember when I was probably, junior high, maybe beginning of high school. My childhood best friend at the time, I remember we had like a sleepover, and I asked him, and I was just like, he's my best friend.
Right.
Probably one of my now I have a lot of friends. Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to brag, but like I have a good circle. I have probably good six, 7 people or whatever that I would talk to regularly and
Right.
consider one of my close friends.
Right.
But back then, I didn't really have that many, and I was shy, I was quiet, I didn't do much, and I didn't really know like how to open up or what to do. And I remember asking him, and I was just like, hey, if there's one thing that you would change about me, what would it be? And he couldn't really think of anything. Like, he was just like, I don't know. We were like 12, 13, something like that. But eventually, he was just like, just be more outgoing. I think if you were more outgoing, if you did more things, then, it'd be better. And, I don't think he really expected me to take it as seriously as I did.
Right.
But I did. And, throughout high school, I got involved. Like, I was the not captain. I was the manager of my high school football team for my junior and senior year. Yeah, it was awesome. I didn't do a thing. Like, I went to all the games. I went to the away games on the cheerleading bus. It was awesome. I didn't do anything. Like, that was cool. I got involved more. Became, had more friends, talked more. And then, high school was cool, but it got better. Once I graduated, once I got a job, once I started doing comedy, it gets better. Now I'm doing this, and this is fun.
Exactly.
So I say that. Do you remember a specific time where you think there was that's the turning point in my life? Because I feel like people have in a lot of different areas, alcoholics when they become sober, they can talk about the turning point in their life. Or you being a different person when you were younger compared to now. Do you think there was a turning point?
Definitely, man. My biggest turning point, even after I graduated, I was fighting myself still.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest turning point was when my daughter was born.
Okay.
Once I had her...
She's so cute. I saw a picture on Facebook. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, she has a big head because so many people tell her. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So
but
you're cute. Stay off the pole. Sorry.
But once,
I shouldn't have said that.
once I got to that point, having her, it started to help me understand this is the love I was missing, and just to show me everything that you always wanted was always there, and you just have to realize for yourself that it's here for you.
Right.
And it was the time I was holding her in my arms, and I'm like, this is me now.
Yeah.
This is what I have to do.
Right.
I have 2 decisions to make. Is either I can stay who I am,
right,
or I can do what I have to do to best support her.
Yeah.
And man, I still have rocky times. I wasn't the best. Everyone makes mistakes, but slowly and gradually I started to progress into this person, because I knew not only that I wanted to be better, but I started to go back to those times I don't want to be my dad.
Yeah.
I went back to those times I was like, I'm definitely not going to be my mom. You
Yeah.
know, and with all that coming through, even going back to sports, I started seeing, I quit this, or I didn't finish with this, and then I was like, I can't do that. I have too much people batting on me now.
Yeah.
So that was one of the best things that happened to me, man. I literally every day thank God, man, I'm so thankful for having this happen, because if this didn't,
right,
who knows where I would have been.
Yeah.
Dead on the streets,
right,
in jail, who knows,
Yeah. This is I hate kids. Like you said that very emotional thing, and me, I hate kids. But I remember saying this to one of my friends who now has a kid. I think I said this when he found out that his girl was pregnant, and I didn't mean it in a way fuck you for having a kid,
Right.
but I just said it, and then he was just like, I think it's because you can't have them. And then, I don't know if anyone's ever said that to me before, but when he said that, I was just like, yeah, maybe. If I knew that I had, if I was able to have them, maybe I would feel differently about it. I don't know. Maybe I'd still hate them. I don't know. But, it just got me thinking in that moment. I was just like, yeah, maybe it would be different. But that's you know, a lot of things would have to happen for me to for that to be able to happen. But it's funny that you say that because like I feel, you know, I'm 27. How old are you?
27.
Okay, so yeah, we're around the same age, and I've never, I don't know, I'm sure it's happened, but like I would think somebody having a kid, you know, around our age or younger, you know, around this age, being young, not having one and thinking like this is going to make my life, you know, better, because usually in your, you know, in your early 20s, this is the time where you were trying to do things together, you know, you're trying to figure out your future, like this is just the beginning, like, you know, you don't usually have it all figured out at 26, 27 years old, or however old you had when your daughter, but I mean, that's really cool, because I've never, like, if I had the ability to have a kid right now, I would be like, how the hell am I going to do this, you know? Like, when my friend had it, like, he's on Matt's team, and he told Matt, and Matt, when he found out, he was just like, damn. Like, that's all he said. That's all he said to my friends. And then he told me he said that. And I was just like, you said that to him? You were just like, damn? Like,
like thanks for helping him out.
Yeah, I was like, if that was anybody else, man. Because, like, we all kind of go back. Like, you know, he had, my friend's name's Jacob. Jacob, you're watching, keep watching. But, like, yeah, like, you know, me, him, we're on Matt's team when Matt first became a manager, so we all kind of go back for a while. And he told him, and he just said that. I was just like, you wouldn't have said that if that was anybody else. Like, if that was anybody else, you'd just been like, oh, congratulations, good job.
Right.
But since it was him, he was just like, damn. I'm just like,
you already knew what I said.
Oh, that's such a Matt thing to say to like me or you, like when we're friends, but like to say that to one of your employees, like he's just like, damn. I'm just like, you said that, like. What a jerk. But yeah, like I feel like that's the reaction usually.
It is.
That if one of my, you know, close friends had one, I'd be like, damn. I'd be like, oh wow, damn. Like,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, man, I really, when I first found out, I was like, damn. Yeah. I was, what, I believe 23.
Okay.
And my 22nd birthday was like my 21st, because I was like, yeah, I didn't really drink my 21st, but 22, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of drinks going down. And then it's like, that was probably the worst I did, because next year I'm coming out and I'm seeing like, oh, okay, time to have a kid. So, you know, it was really kind of a hard thing to deal with at a young age, because you do think about those things. You know, I was just going to Rowan University. I'm in college. I want to do like college stuff, and just experience life, and that's where it started to help me to see that I was given this opportunity for a reason. And that's when I had to learn, like, dude, make a decision, dude. Like, you're either gonna be young Q and keep doing what you're doing, or you're gonna go do what you're called to do. So
that's one of the things that I'm thinking of, because like I see, you know, my friend Jacob, who has a kid, and then I have other friends, older friends that have kids and that are married, and you know, they're boring. Like hey, you want to hang out? Instead, I have to check with the wife. You know, I have to see what's up with the kids. And like, you know, and when I asked you about this, and you were just like, yeah, we can do it. I'm just like, oh, okay. I didn't think you were this free. Like usually it's like a thing, and I know that, you know, I'm sure that you're, you know, I know that you're definitely a good father and stuff like that. So. Like, that's the part that I feel like is tough, like having a kid, is like having that balance of, you know, still being able to do stuff like this, which I appreciate you doing.
Definitely.
And, you know, still being there for your family.
Exactly.
You know?
And that is, I think a lot of millennials, adults and millennials, they all think that, you know, when you have a kid, it's like, oh, my life is over, I can't do anything, but it really is about balance. It's like structure, and it's being able to respect each other's time, and just putting in enough time for your kids to understand, you know, what you're doing. And you know, you have those talks with your kids. You let them know, like, look, I'm recording so I can do this and do that, and they're like, oh, to them it's like, oh, this is great, daddy's like doing this, and they don't even know. But it does, you know, at times you may beat yourself up, like, oh, I want to do this more, but it's all how you balance out life, man. And I think that a lot of people, they have a kid and they're just like, oh, time to have a boring life, like, you know, let's go to Disney World.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know,
Make it fun.
let's go to the park and run around for
Yeah.
5 hours straight. It's really that's the type of dad I am. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
fun as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to forget those memories for the most part.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, one of my friends said something like, I hate people who always, when you try and do something with them, they're just like, oh, I'm so busy, like I don't have time. But like somebody else told me, it's like, you know, everybody has the same amount of time. It's just how you choose to prioritize your time.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
if that person's important enough to you, you'll find the time for that person.
Exactly.
So, so you mentioned you went to Rowan. When I did an interview with my friend Paul on my channel previously.
Yeah.
He lives around Rowan area.
Okay.
And that's super cool. Like, I went to community college for 2 semesters before I dropped out, and I wanted to go to Temple to study like communications and journalism.
Nice.
And I saw on your Facebook that you studied biology.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Bio. So that's where I started out, and I've always wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Oh.
So it was a never-ending battle with science.
Yeah.
I've always been a sciencey guy. Just love learning about the body. I love the just different elements, and just trying to gain the knowledge that I needed to be the best surgeon. Life happened, of course.
Yeah.
So trying to do labs in Rowan and having a
Right.
kid was just not for me. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this 3-hour lab, and I gotta go home and study
Right.
this, and then I got a crying baby. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do this. I can't keep up.
That's like a 10-year thing. Like, you have to go for like, forever.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. A lot of people are like, "You want to be in school for that long?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And then I
Really,
realized,
yeah?
like, no, not.
Yeah, you're like, that's what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do.
Right.
So I told somebody this story, and they thought it was like crazy and hilarious, and I just was like, oh, this is very irresponsible of me. But so I went to community college for like 2 semesters, and I dropped out because one time I had to I think I was absent one day, and I had to retake a test, or I had to take a test, and they had to reschedule it for me, right?
Right.
So I had to take it in the library, and so the teacher gave me the test, and she went in another room, and I thought, like, you know, she was going to be right there watching me take the test, but she went into another room, and I don't know if I seem like this type of person, but once that happened, I was just like, oh, I can cheat on this test now.
Right.
I was like, oh. So I took my notes out, and I started looking at my notes,
Right.
and I was like, I'm not doing shit on this test. Like,
Right.
even before, why do you think I'm cheating? If I knew this shit, I wouldn't be taking out my notes. So I started to do it, and then I didn't see her come out the room.
Yeah.
So she came out the room, and she just was like, you know, she's like, I don't think she even said anything to me. She just took my test and she walked out, and then I left.
Right.
And then I never showed up to her class again. And I guess what was the crazy part about this was, you know, back then I wasn't driving. So this was 6 or 7 years ago. So back then, you know, I didn't have my car modified and I wasn't driving. So my mom would drop me off for like, you know, the whole afternoon or like most of the day for me to do my classes. And then like the last like hour or so of the day, like I was just hanging out on campus. Like she didn't know that I wasn't in class. So like I was just like chill. Like I was just avoiding class
Right.
for like an hour, trying to find things to do because I was failing that class. Like I'm not going back. Like
Yeah.
even if there was a chance for me to go back and like salvage that class somehow, fuck that. Like nah, I have to face this lady every day after she told I'm not coming back either. That was the end of my college.
Right.
So yeah, that's my. Oh, and another thing that was funny about that was, so one of my, he was one of my best friends. We don't talk now. I don't know why. He just disappeared. But when I was in community college, I became friends with this guy named Mike, and you know we hit it off. We were really good friends. We hung out a lot. And he was one of the people that told me that he thought I should start doing comedy,
Right.
and he thought that I'd be a good actor. And you know, he was a really good friend and a big influence for me at the time. But he was an asshole because like he's not an asshole. Like all my friends are assholes. Because like I like people that are honest, right?
Right.
So like you know, I told him that I was going for journalism, and he was just like, "What are you gonna do with that? Like you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do anything with that. Like you're not gonna find a job with that. That's stupid, right?" But then he would never tell me what his major was. until like he transferred. Like when he transferred out and we went to a real school, and then that's when I found out. And he told me that he was going for special education.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, so you're not being my friend just to be my friend, you're doing this for college credits.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought. He was like, no, like, you're taking this serious. That was a joke. but like, he felt bad because he was like, no. He's like, no. He's like, no, we're friends, blah, blah, blah. Now we're not friends anymore. He doesn't talk to me. So now I feel like he really did it just for the college credits. I hope this is a joke, but it might not be a joke. So, yeah. These are my college stories.
Man, it's funny because I remember we were all in, it was a class, I think it was human bio or something like that in Rome. And literally is similar to you cheating, but literally not just one person, like the whole class cheated all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just so bad to the point that the professor was just like, I don't even care. Yeah. Like, he just knew he was like, I know what you guys do. It's Thirsty Thursdays. You come in on Friday and you take my class. I already know what you're doing.
Right.
So I'm right with you, man. I'm just glad I didn't get caught because I was like all the way to the back. And I just was like, this is the only class I'm passing this year, so let me just at least pass this. Like,
but at that point, like, I was already, like, I wasn't doing great. Like, in high school, like, I wasn't, like, top of my class, whatever, but I was, like, mostly, like, A-B, like, you know, like mostly B, you know, and I think I had, like, a 3-point-something GPA, like, 3.6, something like that. Like, I was, you know, I was pretty good. But, like, when I was in college, and I was just like, oh, I have to study. I was like, I have to analyze a book. Like, I don't want to do this crap. Like, and then, like, my grades were hard. Like, one semester I made the dean's list. And I was just like, this is a mistake. Like, are you sure you have the right person? Like, you just feel sorry for yourself in a wheelchair? I do not deserve this. And, yeah, and then, like, you know, next semester it was, you know, it was probably a little bit worse. And I'm just like, I'm not doing this anymore. But, yeah, I was just like, maybe if I went to a real school, I would say, because, like, then you get the full, like, college experience, like, parties and stuff like that. It might be different, but for the most part, I just didn't really want to do it. I was just like, And then I had a part-time job, and I was just like, I'll just do this. And then eventually got into the bank, so it all worked out, I feel like.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did.
Yeah, but
cheating works.
Yeah, cheat in college. You'll maybe figure it out.